Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. So we are here getting ready for our talk on heavy metals and viral triggers today. If you see some mess behind me, we are moving again. That's what we do. We move a lot, my family. Hopefully this is for good, for a little bit at least. So let me turn everything on to make sure that everybody can see us. For those of you who are joining us now, you are on the Facebook Live where I'm going to be talking about heavy metal triggers. Hi, Julie. Hi, Helen. Nice to see you, ladies. So we're going to be talking about heavy metal triggers today. And I know it's a big topic because judging on the response that you guys had on the post. I love you too, Helen. I think it's not a coincidence that this topic it's really important and all of you are so eager to learn more, because whether you've been on a medical medium for quite some time or you're just new to it, you probably have heard or you've tested for heavy metals. You know that you've been exposed, and so you wonder how can you detoxify from it. I get all sorts of Thank you, Ellen. I get all sorts of requests usually when I meet my one-on-one clients, and they come from, I just had my fillings removed, and although I was a holistic practitioner, my health started going downward. So from that to I read the medical medium books, I suspect that because I had vaccines and different exposure to maybe copper pipes, or I'm taking IUDs. I had IUDs. I had to remove these metals, and it's not that easy. And I know that the heavy metal smoothie that most of you are drinking, it's a first step. However, as we discussed more often in the past, it is not nearly enough to remove the heavy metal that may be stored in the body. Today, we're going to talk specifically about the heavy metal stored, because, and I want to wait for more people to come in so that they can get the full scope of the conversation. I know we talked about heavy metals before, but today I really want to focus on the storing of heavy metals in the body and how the body functions in order to release the heavy metals. And when I say that the heavy metal detox smoothie is not sufficient, I don't mean to say that. I want to make sure that you guys understand that it doesn't mean that it's not working, it's not effective. I'm just saying that alone might not be sufficient. So what else can we do in order to effectively release heavy metals? Hello, Lori. Good to see you. I love when I have my people coming in and I get to see them, even if virtually. So as I said, for those of you coming in now, we are talking today about heavy metals, particularly heavy metals stored in the body and how the body functions to release them, if it does release them, right? And the reason why we're all talking about heavy metals in this group, of course, is because, as per Anthony, heavy metals are the #1 trigger because they do feed the viruses in our body, right? So for those of you who don't know me, who have never heard me speaking, I'm a big proponent on the fact that the viruses in our bodies are not the issue. And I know I might not be popular, and you guys might probably take this statement and take it in other groups and just go out and say this woman is crazy. However, let me explain to you why I say that the viral load, the viruses, not the viral load, viruses are not that important, because we are hosts. So that's what the human body is. It's a host. Inside of the human bodies, you will find bacteria, all sorts of viruses, pathogens, parasites. That's what we do. I mean, this is how we were built. So we're built to host this external foreign entities, and the balance at our good health relies on this balance between human cells and bacterial, pathogen, and external cells, right? So it is important. It is important that we understand that. It is important that we do not start fearing the presence of viruses inside our body. Now, obviously, this has to be taken into context. I don't want you to just now quit this slide and tell people that I said that viruses are not important. I'm saying that we have to understand the presence of the viruses in the context. Anthony talks a lot about the EBV. And I have a lot of clients coming to me and say, I want to be tested for EBV. What should I do? I want to be tested for shingles to see if I have all the viruses that Anthony talks about. And my response is, why? Why do you need to be tested? Especially EBV. I just take for granted that all of us were at some point exposed to EBV so that we do have a presence in our body. Now, problems arise and we become symptomatic once the EBV is fed and start proliferating. So again, what I'm trying to say here is that the presence of the virus alone does not warrant us having cancer, RA, the so-called autoimmune conditions. It does not warrant us to be symptomatic simply because we have viruses inside. In fact, most of us have the virus and they're not symptomatic, while some others have viruses that are symptomatic. So what is the difference? The virus alone cannot be the reason why. So what is the problem? The problem is the trigger. What has triggered your virus versus mine to proliferate? And then when it proliferates and takes over, and remember the balance that we discussed at the beginning, when the balance is off and the virus or viruses or the bacteria, usually cofactor viruses, take over, then we exhibit symptoms and then we have what we call disease, right? So those triggers are everything because, as I said, in healthy people, we found cells in presence of virus, even the meningitis. But they didn't exhibit any symptoms. I've had a client that did some work with me. She did a P test and she took it to a lab to analyze, and they found 100,000 colonies of E. coli in her pee, but she had no test. However, the doctors wanted to give her antibiotics because they thought she was having a UTI, but she had no symptoms of UTI. So the first thing I want you guys to reflect on is our role as hosts. We are supposed to harbor bacteria and viruses and pathogen parasites in our body. This is how we were built. So we shouldn't be scared of the virus per se. And I know now with the coronavirus, people are flooding my emails asking, what is the protocol to protect myself and my children from it? So we're not talking about coronavirus today. We are talking about heavy metal, and I'm telling you why I'm getting there. So the viruses per se are not an issue. What triggers the viruses is the main issue. And the heavy metals, specifically in relationship with the EBV and other type of viruses of the herpetic family that Anthony talks about, are the main issue. So the question is, do I have heavy metal issues? So am I symptomatic, or could I become symptomatic because I have an heavy metal presence that will then in return feed the virus, and then the virus proliferates? So are my symptoms due to heavy metals? The short answer is possibly, and simply because we're all exposed to heavy metals. They are ubiquitous. We can't escape them. So some of us do, like in my case, I have 10 fillings in my mouth. So that means that I'm constantly exposed to a chronic level of mercury, right? Versus people that have no fillings in their mouth, and their exposure is less, right? But as Anthony teaches us, we can also inherit the heavy metal load from our parents, and not just the heavy metals, but the pesticides. So it's important to understand that not all of us have the same heavy metal load, but all of us have some level of heavy metal exposure. Now, there's a difference between chronic exposure and acute exposure. The acute exposure is when you get your fillings removed and something goes wrong, and then you have an amount of mercury exposure that is an acute exposure, right? If you ingest something that contains heavy metal, that's an acute exposure, that's heavy metal poisoning. If back in the day, growing up in Europe, we used to have these mercury thermometers, and if they broke, I just had a client last week telling me, oh, I used to play with it, with the mercury in it. Well, today you would go immediately to the hospital if that were the case, right? So that is an acute exposure versus a chronic exposure. Chronic exposure is the gassing off of the mercury fillings that we have in our mouth. A chronic exposure is breathing toxins in the air. Chronic exposure is Yeah, mostly the air we breathe. Chronic exposure is also, though, the contamination of the soil and the water in which our animals that some of us consume and the fruit and vegetables that we do all consume are grown in. Because even something that is considered organic, if it does grow in a soil that is rich in heavy metals, breast implant, Helen, correct. So what are we going to do about it? But we're not talking about breast implant disease right now. We're talking about heavy metal. So we are exposed to a chronic level, all of us, a different level, some more, some less, but we're all exposed. So and today the contamination of water and soil is huge. It's a huge problem for the environment. It's a huge problem for human health. So you can bet that you are exposed to heavy metals. And if you add on top of that, for instance, as we said, IUD or feelings in your mouth, then increase your cumulative load of heavy metals. We're talking about heavy metals because, as we said, heavy metals are feeding the viruses. So the virus per se would not be a big deal if it wasn't fed. And in fact, some will argue that the presence of specific viruses and bacteria in the body could even strengthen our immune system, because as long as the immune system is stronger and can keep them at bay, it would actually could even protect us in the future from the development of other chronic illnesses. And even said in the past, the BBV was a good virus. So there are good viruses, there are good bacteria. Like Candida is a good bacteria, so long as we maintain the balance, right? When we create dysbiosis and the Candida takes over, then it's not that Candida is not a good virus, is good bacteria anymore, is that it's proliferated in numbers that, creates the dysbiosis, so the imbalance in our flora. So what we want to do is to keep the pathogens at bay, so that the immune system is strong and can keep them at bay because they're not as proliferating, and at the same time, it's not constantly activated. And by this, I mean the immune system. When there's a proliferation of viruses, the immune system is obviously activated because it's trying to do its work, its job, right? So when the immune system is constantly activated, then it starts reacting, for instance, to things like gluten. Because when the immune system is activated, there's an inflammation going on in the body, because the inflammation is the way the body reacts to foreign substances, right? So I always say you're not allergic to gluten, you're not sensitive to gluten, you're just activated, you are inflamed. However, whenever this the inflammation level will reduce, whenever we're able to remove the triggers that are feeding the viruses, so that the immune system doesn't feel charged constantly to have to respond to possible attacks, then you are not even going to be susceptible to gluten. Now, with that, I'm not saying that gluten should be eaten, because there are other issues that go on with the gluten, but I'm saying that allergies in general can be overcome once we start deactivating the immune system naturally. I'm not saying that we should use medication for this. I'm just saying that naturally the immune system will not feel the need to be as charged, because viruses are not proliferating, and our inflammation level is going to go down, and hence we will not be as activated. You guys know that I've talked extensively about vaccines, and I have a masterclass on it. One of the thing of the vaccine problem nowadays is that vaccines stimulate immune response, which is kind of the premise of the vaccines, right? That was it. It would be good. However, the vaccines are not able to stimulate immune response only directly towards the specific virus that is injected in the human body, right? So they stimulate a general immune response. So then the immune system will react not just towards the measles virus, for instance, in the vaccine, but will react against the aluminum or the mercury in the virus, or the fused cell in the virus, and it will or if there's peanut in the virus, in the vaccine, they will start exhibiting allergies to peanut, simply because, and I'm not saying the peanuts is in the vaccines, I'm just saying that once we stimulate an immune response that is not an immune response, we're not able to isolate the response. So the immune system will just react against everything that has any in front of him, and it will create, for instance, basic things. Kids that are being vaccinated right now because they have to keep up with the new mandates are developing allergies that they never had before to food or grass or wheat, simply because the immune system now is charged and activated, right? So going back to heavy metals, we want to focus on heavy metals today and understanding how they work in our body and how they are released, because they are the number one viruses. And as long as we keep the balance, then we shouldn't worry about it. But when we are off balance and when we feel that we have an active, or we've been tested for an active EBV or other type of viruses, then we know that these viruses have been fed. So what is feeding viruses? If I'm assuming most of us here in this group are staying away from the no food, which is kind of the main prerequisite to even be following the medical medium, right? So then there are other triggers that could be triggering the virus, and the heavy metals is one. Now, how does the body store heavy metals? So the heavy metals, they come to the body from different sources. We said it, right? But it's hard for the heavy metals to be released because they bind to other cells, and on top of that, the body the body stores them. Especially a body that is deficient in vitamin and minerals will hold on to specific metals in lieu of other vitamins, or vitamins or minerals that are missing. So, for instance, lead substitutes for calcium. And in fact, I'm sure you guys have heard that the lead is stored in the bones, right? It's stored in human bones, but it's also stored in animal bones, right? So that's why we don't want to have ever bone broth, because, and Helen, I know you're listening, I know you love your bone broth, but if it's true, the animals are storing lead in their bones. Once we simmer these bones for a long time in the broth, guess what happens? That metals, particularly lead, is leaching into the broth that we're drinking. So, as I said, this is important. It's something that I guys should do, focus on. The body will hold on to metals if there are deficiency, and so that means that if the body holds on to metals, then when we try to push a chelation or any source of release of metals, we will not be successful. So we do heavy metal smoothie, detox smoothie, and people start gaining weight. Or we do heavy metal detox smoothie for a while, and people don't see a huge improvement because there are different reasons. Hi, Brooke. Nice to see you. Hi, Heidi. Oh my gosh, so many of you. So what happens is the body can only release and effectively release the metals. They are free for in the blood. But if they are used up, so if they're stored in the bones, if they are stored in fatty tissue, in the visceral fat in the belly or the brain, they're not going to release it. The body is not going to release it until it's put in a position of doing so. So this is really important thing to consider, that we can only release the heavy metal studies in free form. Okay. So we were saying lead substitute for calcium. The cadmium sometimes substitutes for zinc. That means that if we are zinc deficiency, and Anthony talks about this, we may be storing cadmium because the body needs in the zinc. Now, most of us are on the medical medium supplementation, and zinc is kind of the number one supplement. However, for zinc deficiency, there could be something going on with cadmium storing. And aluminum, for instance, seems to be retained by the body anytime, almost anywhere there is a deficiency. So the body retained those metals, lost them into the tissue, taking the place of the appropriate nutrients. So, as I said, let's remember that it's important to understand that any chelation of binders that we use would only remove the heavy metals that are in a free form. So until the nutritional status of the body has shifted to supply these minerals and vitamins in a usable form to the tissue, the body will not let go of the toxic metals. And that is why I advocate for specific supplementation during an heavy metal process. And actually, this is why I also, you guys know, I just started offering them to a metal detox, but I'm not promoting it to everybody because I want to make sure that before you get into a targeted heavy metal detox, your organs, the 3 major organs, like the gut, the kidneys, and the liver, are ready to let go of these metals, the metals that you may be storing for possible deficiency, right? So once that happens, then you're going to go do a targeted type of activity to remove the metals. So when you're ready, some of the supplements that I suggest are the B vitamin and the folate, because they support the detox pathways. Again, you guys probably have heard me talking about the lymphatic cleanse that I do with the lymphatic system. Because any detox you do, any detox, it is considered effective once the toxins effectively leave the body. But what happens if you do this whole process and then there's a clog at the end, meaning the toxins are not leaving the body, despite the fact of being cued to leave the body, because maybe your lymphatic system is stagnant, maybe your kidneys are not filtering as properly, maybe you're not sweating. And sweating is actually a very important, the skin, right, is our 3rd kidney. And if we don't sweat enough, it is proven that we sweat heavy metals from the skin. So if you do suspect some heavy metal load that may be feeding your viral load, then sweating, it's a daily habit. That's why we talk about infrared saunas. But in general, workout, saunas, dry brushing, key to make sure that your skin is open and can release the toxins. So, but we're talking about this because we're talking about recirculation of toxins. So any detoxification process, it is not complete until the toxins leave the body. If the toxins do not leave the body because our elimination pathways are clogged, we're still some metals and toxins that before the process started, these were somewhat tamed by the body, because the body always tries to protect us in many ways. So storing toxins in fat, in fatty tissues, is one of the body's way of protecting us from toxins, because toxins are corrosive, so they have to be stored in lipids. So where do we have lipids? We have it usually in visceral fat. This is not just the fat that comes out here, okay? This is not just this. I'm talking about visceral fat in the belly area and fat in the brain. So that is another reason why often when we have an overburden of heavy metals, we experience neurological issues, because we have heavy metals in the brain and they cross the barrier, they get in there and they feed the virus, and the virus overpopulates. So we have a combination between heavy metals and viral load that is kind of a perfect storm, right? So every time we have any type of neurological issues, you can bet that there's some heavy metal issue in there, right? So, but again, if we want to effectively eliminate metals, we have to make sure that the main organs are ready to eliminate the metals, that there are no deficiency for which the body will be storing metals in lieu of the minerals or the vitamins that are missing. So I said B vitamins and folate, because they support the detox pathways, and that's, we want to make sure that they're always supported. The melatonin is a great detoxifier for the brain, and it acts as an antioxidant that is specifically effective for heavy metals. Zinc, of course, because we just discussed before that the body likes to hold on to cadmium for zinc deficiency, the presence of zinc deficiency. And Anthony talks about the importance of zinc, of course, to counteract the presence of copper. So zinc and copper go hand in hand, but also zinc as immune booster, of course, and zinc as amazing for the lymphatic system. So zinc and vitamin C are essential when we want to start eliminating heavy metals. Spirulina. Of course, you all know it because spirulina is one of the 5 ingredients in Anthony's suggested heavy metal detox smoothie. Spirulina, I prefer to take it separately from the smoothie, just with water, even the barley grass, because I wanted to separate it from the any digestive system, a digestive process. So I just personally prefer to take it separately. But anyway, spirulina, it's really important. And another supplement that I always recommend is in the NAC, the N-acetylcysteine, which stimulates the production of glutathione, that I'm sure you guys know is a master antioxidant and detoxifier in our body. So instead of just giving glutathione supplement, I recommend NAC, the N-acetylcysteine supplementation. So the last thing is the ACZ, or the zeolite. And to recommend the ACZ is a more gentle form of other zeolites that are going around. However, I would not even touch zeolite until we make sure that our bodies. Hi, Rachel, Teresa, Sabina. Sorry, I'm just scrolling here. Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Melanie. So, hi, Kimberly. So I would not touch zeolite until we know that we're ready to properly detoxify heavy metals. So this is kind of the nuts and bolts of what I wanted to discuss today. We most likely all are exposed to heavy metals. Heavy metals are the #1 trigger of viral overload. I don't want you to worry too much about the viruses. I want you to worry more about the triggers. And heavy metals is one of the main triggers. So, however, do not attempt any heavy metal detoxification lightly, because, again, one, could be effective since your body may be storing metals and not releasing them. And two, because if your lymphatic system is not open, and not lymphatic system, your elimination pathway, so the kidneys as well, the skin, we said, the liver, of course, that is a massive detoxifier. So if the organs are not working properly, then you may be getting deep signaling the brain to release, the body to release these heavy metals that were kind of stored in a safe environment, and now they're up on the surface, but they don't know where to go. And so when toxins recirculate, specifically heavy metals, is really bad. We know that when we kill the virus by proper nutrition, right? The virus, viral die-off, the die-off of the virus is also toxic, but it's not as toxic as when. So if the lymphatic system is not open, this viral die-off can also go back in circle, right? But it's not as toxic as heavy metals going back in and recirculating in the system. So you don't want to provoke that. You want to make sure that your main organs are strong, that you don't have vitamin or mineral deficiency, and then attempt the heavy metal detoxification. Then you know that you can complete it, because as we said at the beginning, there's no detoxification unless the toxins are properly removed. If they're not removed, they're recirculated. Then you're not detoxifying, you're toxifying the body. That makes sense? Okay. So Michelle is asking, do you make sure to take zinc away from all other supplements? I never get to it because of that. Well, I take zinc in the morning and in the afternoon. So, and I usually don't take it, yes, with any other, I take my B12, I wake up in the morning, I take my water, lemon, and my celery juice, and then I take some more supplementation, and then I take my smoothie, and it's not a heavy metal smoothie. Again, with this, I'm not trying to discourage you guys from taking the heavy metal detox smoothie. I know that most of you love it. I'm just saying, I want you to check in with your body, see how you feel after you take the heavy metal detox smoothie. If you've been on this protocol for a while and you're gaining weight, I'm talking about consistent amount of weight, like that happens sometimes. I have many clients, especially the ones that join the lymphatic cleanse, that experience an increase in weight. That could be a sign that your toxins are not being released. Okay, because when you have a proper nutrition, you shouldn't be storing fat, right? Now, yes, there's a component of adrenal, but I would say that when the toxins are not really leaving the body, it's just a functional reaction. Body is doing its job, protecting, storing fat, so you can store toxin in there. So gaining an excessive amount of weight is a sign. I don't want you to get worried, but it's a sign. So I always ask people to step back on the heavy metal detox smoothie and start putting in place other things before to prep the body to release toxins. And then the weight, I promise you, like magic, will get go off. Because I just finished, and I think I sent a newsletter out recently where there were testimonials of people that could not lose weight no matter what they did, and then they start putting in place some of my advice, and the weight just started shedding. And it's not just about the weight, it's about the fact that now you know that in the weight there are toxins stored. So as you lose the weight, you lose the toxins, and then you start feeling better. And it's just not because you lost the fat, it's because you lost the toxins. So Jordana is asking, what are the safe ways to open the pathways that don't remove heavy metals at the same time, at the safe time? So, well, Jordana, first of all, you need to understand if your system is clogged, if you're storing toxins or not. For instance, I have people that drink the heavy metal detox smoothie and they don't feel well right after. They start having headache, dizziness, vertigos. So that's a sign you should stop the heavy metal detox smoothie, because these toxins that the metals that the heavy metal detox smoothie is trying to bring to the surface to eliminate are probably not going anywhere. So maybe stop and see if maybe by eliminating, taking a step back from the heavy metal detox smoothie. It doesn't mean from smoothies. You can still have your smoothies in the morning, of course. Just don't put the 5 ingredients. Just put your blueberries in there, any other fruits you want. Just don't try to push chelation, right? So no cilantro, no dulse, no spirulina, right? So step back and see if just by alkalizing your body, if try to move your lymphatic system, so rebounding, dry brushing, infrared saunas, alkalizing food, lots of juices, if that starts flowing. And once it starts flowing, then try to reintroduce the heavy metal detox smoothie. It doesn't have to be, 7 days out of 7. Just remember, Anthony said, the body doesn't like to be shocked. The liver doesn't like to be shocked. So don't go from 0 to 7. Just go maybe 2 times a week, see how you feel, and then keep going, maybe then 3. But the goal is never to push the body. For some people, they will always stay with 2 times a week heavy metal detox smoothie. Some people can go to 5, and that's okay. We're all different. But it's our eagerness to get rid of toxins and feel better right away that sometimes takes over, and we disregard the signs that the body is telling us, is giving us. So Kimberly, hi Kimberly, dealing with toxic metals with the uniform at work. I'm getting sick every time I go to work, being in the recirculated cabin air and proximity to others in the uniform, even though I'm out of it. What can I do? What, Kimberly? You change your job. No, I know. We work together, Kimberly. So I know that you're going to retire being a flight attendant. And so, for last thing I heard from you, you changed uniform. So I'm going to do another video. This is going to be a video not because I want it to stay on YouTube and people can go and watch it over and over again. And it's about what makes us sick, really. But as you probably have heard me already talking about, we have different buckets, right? So heavy metal exposure alone is not enough. Having viral load alone is not enough. Being stressed or going through heavy, a loss or grief is not enough. It's just a combination of all these things, right? Bad nutrition is not enough. There's some people that can get away with, things that maybe personally I cannot get away. And then I'll become symptomatic, right? But it's not just the pizza or the ice cream. It's the fact that I have the pizza and the ice cream and a glass of wine, and then I have 10 feelings in my mouth, and then I'm super stressed because this is the 4th time I'm moving in 4 months. That is so in your case, Kimberly, if you are dealing with a chronic exposure, not an acute exposure of heavy metals, then you have to lower everything else. Your nutrition has to be impeccable. Your sleep has to be impeccable, and you have to do everything you can, because sleep, as you guys know, is important for regeneration and cellular regeneration. So we regenerate at night, we detoxify at night, so that has to work, right? So you have to make sure that your stress level is very low, because if this bucket, which is the heavy metal exposure right now, cannot be altered unless you change your job, then everything else, flying is not just the heavy metals that you need to worry about, but anyway, everything else has to be low, right? Whereas someone that maybe has a great life, is not stressed, doesn't have financial issues, that has a great relationship and has a good nutrition, has a not exposure or a chronic exposure to metals, and lives in the countryside, maybe not close to farms, can get away with having ice cream and not being symptomatic, because all of our other buckets, or his other buckets, are low. But when we increase, like the pollution, the stress, the feelings, the financial worries, or the loss or grief of a loved one, then that is the perfect storm. And mind you that we get symptomatic. Ask yourself, we get symptomatic not because we got a feeling, because now I I have 10 fillings in my mouth. And yes, I heard my story before. I was sick for 10 years with neurological issues between vertigo and dizziness, and they could not know for what to do with me. I still have the feelings, but I'm no longer symptomatic, because now I know what to do. And now I put things in place where I know that nutrition has to be a certain way, that my level of stress, I'm not always good at that, but it has to be, you know, I know how to catch myself before a flare will come. But when everything is high, viral load, heavy metal load, stress level, and less than bad sleep and less than proper nutrition, yes, I'll be symptomatic, and even more. One of my mentors, Lisa Rankin, used to say, we either grow over it or we grow a tumor. People get sick because of a combination of factors. It's never one thing. So now I can be functional and not symptomatic, although I still have 10 feelings in my mouth, right? How do you know here? How do you know if your body is ready to start the detox? Well, first of all, it depends on what, Chantal, what level of, where are you in the game, basically. I say that before I start any heavy metal detox, if you're starting now, I would just get rid of the no food, right? Because that is going to lower your inflammation level. Remember at the beginning, we said, when the system is activated, the immune system is activated, then it's going to be reactive to a lot of things, even things that traditionally will not be reacting to, hence allergies, right? So the first thing you do is to go away from no food, from inflammatory food, from mucus-producing food. And these are all the no food. And personally, I would add, if you're really symptomatic, you're really sick, you should go away from animal protein. But I know that Anthony kind of condoned that. And so because of the fat in it, it just wants us to be mindful of the amount of animal protein, right? So I would just start phase 1 with no food. Forget about the metals. Then when you master the no food and you're able to just thrive on fruit and vegetables and some amount of fat, then I will move on to are your symptoms disappearing? Are you feeling better? Usually, I would say, even for the removal of the feelings, they always say, you gotta feel better. You have to be strong before you want to do something like this, even if it's an holistic dentist that is doing it, right? So the same way I would say, if you're super symptomatic, I will not attempt right now an heavy metal detox. The body is telling you that something is not working out, and you want to ask the body to do one thing at a time. That's fundamental, guys. The body doesn't like to be shocked, doesn't like to be pushed. The body always puts in place, is built to put in place plan B, C, and D, and do economy. So every time I talk about hyperventilation, I will tell you this another time, but I always say, when we don't have enough oxygen that comes in, the body still has to breathe. The heart still has to pump, right? So if we don't have enough oxygen, the body is going to do economy and say, okay, where can I go and not put the oxygen that is not coming in? So if you're asking the body to deal with symptoms that are the root cause, probably we'll figure out what that is, but is dealing with the symptoms. So it has an immune system that is activated. Then you're asking also to go and dig deep and take the possible stored heavy metals. I mean, it's too much. So attempt an heavy metal detox when you're less symptomatic or no symptoms. When you're feeling better, when you're progressing, when you mastered no food, when you've been on this glands for a while, then attempt the detox. But don't start with an heavy metal detox, because that could be counterproductive. We're starting to open the detox pathways, Jordan, without stirring up heavy metals. Is there a safe way to open the pathways? Well, so there are two things. There's free form of heavy metals and the stored one. The free form may be in your detox pathways, because that is the lymphatic system job to trap toxins, right? Through the lymph nodes and whatnot. So that, you want it out. So you're not stirring it, you want it out, right? It's the stored one that you don't want to mess with, because A, the body will release it that easily, but 2, the body wouldn't know what to do with it, because it will be an overload of toxins. So you right now want to, I always say this, you want to vacuum clean. You don't want to go deep with the mop, you're vacuum cleaning. You're vacuum cleaning the toxins in the surface. That's what you're doing. So you don't want to create, that's why I also ask people when they do my lymphatic cleanse, not to take supplements. Anthony tells us not to take supplements on the 369, because liver still has to detoxify from. So instead, which is a fact, then when we do our lymphatic cleanse, I always say to people, don't take any supplements. Stay with the basic, like maybe B12 and zinc, as a kind of a maintenance, and then let's focus on supplements that can support the lymphatic system, like the cleavers, for instance. So, but just very basic supplementation, and then try to vacuum clean. So remove the dust on the surface before you go deeper, right? So the one on the surface, if there's some free-form heavy metals, you want it out, and that's fine, because it's probably recirculating, and you want the one that is circulating. You don't want the body to store it again, right? Because it will store more. Once it's up, you want it out. But what I'm saying is, don't provoke it. Don't provoke more heavy metal detoxification or chelation unless you know that the pathways are working properly. Diana, yes, I do. You can go on my website at healthinprogress.us and find out all you need, or you can email me at info@healthinprogress.us if you have any questions. Michelle, definitely never heard this before you. What are you referring to, Michelle? The breathing. Kimberly, thank you. Sean, excellent answer to speak to me. Thank you. Well, Kimberly is, I don't know if Michelle is referring to my breathing, but since I have a few minutes here, I want to mention this. I always make my clients do this exercise, and we can do it together now, but I want you to write it down, and when I'm done here, you guys go and take your phone and you're gonna put it on the timer, right? So I want you to take 3 breaths, 3 deep breaths, and then you inhale and exhale 3 times. On the 3rd time, when you exhale completely, I want you to hold on your breath, hold off, and start the timer. But again, air has to be away from, gone from the lungs. Usually we hold the breath when we fill the lungs. This time I want you to hold it when your lungs are empty. On the 3rd breath, and you hold it, and you see how many minutes. Now, average goes between 12 minutes and 36. I've seen in myself and all the clients I worked with and coached with. The reality is, anything below 45 and 60 seconds is bad. It's bad because basically, if you don't realize, we're doing this. So we're all, it's a pandemic, we're all chronic hyperventilators. That means that we're not ingesting enough oxygen, and that, like what I was mentioned before, the body has to do economy, has to figure out, okay, who needs the oxygen and who can do without. Now, the symptoms of hyperchronic ventilation are, you will be amazed to see, from symptoms that mimic diseases, from body aches and pains, from vertigo and dizziness, because again, this is a cumulative effect of hyperchronic ventilation for years. We learned this when we were little. You know, when we're startled and we hold on our breath, right? When we're scared, we hold on. So that becomes a normal way of dealing with life, because especially, have you ever just open up your chest and start breathing? It's not a normal posture, and this is not what we do normally. When we start breathing, is usually very foreign, right? When we get in the position to take deep breath, that means that that's not what we do on a regular basis. But that means that chronically we are hyperventilating, and that means not enough oxygen is coming into the body. Multiply this for how many years of your life, because again, we learned this early on, and here we have a lot of issues. Now, I'm not saying that this is the whole story, and of course, Anthony is there to guide us into food, nutrition, and the relationship with the pathogens that we're feeding. However, I'm saying, start breathing and put alarms on your phone and just really take a deep breath and just hold on to the breath and then release, and you'll start feeling much, much better, because more oxygen is coming, and we need oxygen to live, right? Yes, we need good breathing and energy. Hi, Marcia. Good to see you too. So, Michelle, I don't know what you're referring to. Definitely never heard of this before you, but let me know. I'm still here. If you guys have any more questions, I'm still here for another 5 minutes. So what I have done, or someone in my team has done, if you go in the group after this, I just put 2 quizzes. And if you are not sure if you need a target detox or a target cleanse, go and take the quiz. Because you know, I'm really excited Anthony's coming out with the cleanse book, right? Because it's been my position over and over again for the years. And people who have worked with me or heard me talking before, I started offering these targeted cleanses because we are all different individuals and not one size fits all, and just book and then go out, because clients that come with me with issues most often are not new to medical medium. These are people that have read the books and know the book even better than I do and just follow everything by the T, and they're not getting better. So we have to address different things at different times, and we're while still detoxing. And the premise is that the no food should not be part of our diet, right? But other than that, what else? How do we really get to the root causes of what's happening? And there are reactions, chemical reactions happening in the body all the time. So, and as I said, rule number one, ask your body to do one thing at a time. So if you're asking to open lymphatic pathways, don't ask him to also release heavy metals. First of all, you'll not be successful. And two, the body will not be doing like the breathing and the oxygen. It's going to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we're not going to get to the root cause. But taking this slowly, because this is for long term, we're in this, right? And doing things in building blocks, it's where I see the most success with my clients. So if you're not sure what kind of targeted cleanse you need, and if you're ready for a cleanse, take the quiz. You should find it on this group, posted on top, I guess, after we're done here, and see. Maybe you need a lymphatic cleanse first, or maybe you've been doing this for a while and you are ready for heavy metal detoxification. You do this by yourself, of course, or with us, because we offer lymphatic cleanses, that we offer the community part aspect, and everybody still gets 30 minutes with me, no matter what, because for as long as I will be able to offer that, I want to offer each individual the opportunity to talk to me, because it's important to me that you do a cleanse and you're happy, you're successful, and you want to continue, because personally it's important to if you get disappointed and defeated, you go and talk bad about the medical medium protocol, saying that this doesn't work, or just because maybe it wasn't done properly, right? And because it wasn't done properly for you, for your specific individual, and maybe few things need to be tweaked. There's also lifestyle that comes to place, because I have here two people that are clients of mine, and both of them are flight attendants, and their lifestyle is a special lifestyle, because one of them has sleeping issues, no wonder, because she travels internationally, and sleep is not always, and as I said at the beginning, without proper sleep, we don't regenerate and we do not detoxify properly. So lifestyle comes into play, and so my lifestyle and their lifestyle is very different, right? So it's important to take these things into consideration. And reading the book and applying the teaching works, but is not tailored to the specific situation. So what else can she do, being a flight attendant and not being able, yeah, I am talking about you, and not being able to, regenerate at a cellular level, because she has tremendous lack of sleep. Or Kimberly just mentioned the fact that she has a uniform, and this uniform has been treated with chemicals and she has to wear it. So what else can be done, and where else can we go at, and what kind of supplementation can we use to counteract that effect? That's why I feel that it's important, the guided cleanse, or individual consultations. But I want to make sure that the cleanses are affordable for everybody, that you still get to be with me without having to pay maybe the individual consultation. I know that people that work with me are just not happy about me still using my time to give everybody individual consultations, but for as long as I will be able to continue to do so, I will do so, because I know that when I do that, then you have the best results, and then I continue to sign up, because my best clients are the ones that continue to sign up over and over again. That means it works. I sent a newsletter yesterday, and there were people that said, I haven't felt like this in 10 years, like even before my Lyme diagnosis, or I have my grandkids around and I have RA, been in pain for 15 years, and now I'm running. I want to hear this, because A, it's good ego boost. Two, they will continue to sign up with me. They will continue to spread the good word about Anthony's work. So, it kind of goes ends and ends. And that's why I want to, hand in hand. And that's why I want to be able to talk to each one of you individually during cleanses. Okay, see what you're saying. Yeah, Michelle. Prepping the body before any heavy metal chelation is key. And that includes heavy metal smoothie. So Jordana is saying, I haven't been able to detox because the nervous system is shaking and being so inflamed. So I keep going back and eating sugar to stop the anxiety and terrible dizziness. Sugar, sorry, that's my dog. Sugar is fine, Jordana. However, we call it glucose, and it's the good sugar. You probably, to calm down your central nervous system, you need more glucose. So that goes into prepping your body and making sure that you have enough reserves. So your adrenals probably are shut, but that you can bet if your adrenals are shut, because the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys in Chinese medicine, are one organ. If the adrenals are shut or depleted, your kidneys and your kidneys filtration and functioning is affected, right? So we know that your elimination is already impaired for that, but instead of trying to push elimination, then go back to step one and make sure that you replenish your adrenals, that you have enough consistent glucose level and stored glucose so that it can support your body. And then the dizziness, and of course you're reducing inflammation because fruit is extremely alkalizing, and also keeps the other organs kind of light because they don't have to produce a lot of bile to break down the fat and digest the food that is heavier. So when you don't know what to do, I always say to you guys, just stay on fruit. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she's 70% fruit, and she's thriving. So when even the body, when we're sick, the body goes towards a light meal like a fruit when we're sick, right? When we have flu, because the body doesn't want to take a long time and energy to digest heavy fat and heavy food. So fruit is the healing medicine that God gave us. So when in doubt, go with fruit, Jordana. Nikki, I know it should have bothered me, but the weight gain has been difficult for me since I already overweight to start. Any advice on approaching this, both physically and mentally? Well, good that you bring the mental aspect to this, because as you guys know, I'm really big on this. I created a whole program called Soul Circle, because the mental component and the emotional component that in our healing journey is key. Sometimes I say, depending on what you're dealing with, even more than the nutritional aspect. So gaining weight is a sign, as I said before, that the body is storing fat because it's storing toxins. And that is a sign probably that your elimination pathways are not open, because otherwise you wouldn't be storing. And if your nutrition is good. Now, if you're out eating the sad diet, there's a different reason, but I'm sure here saying that despite the good nutrition, you're still gaining weight. So there's something that needs to be addressed there. And I think you need to start going back to the basics. So if you're doing every metal detox smoothie, I will stop. If you're mastering the no food, then you can move on to try to move your lymphatic system through physical exercise, like vertical, because the lymphatic system, guys, relies on us, breathing and movement, vertical movement to operate. It doesn't have a pump like the blood. So start moving, start dry brushing, and then start with that, and then stay heavy on fruit. Imagine, visualize the flow, the liquid in the lymphatic system must flow, should not be stagnant, should not be thick. So if you're trying to move your lymphatic system, I would advise no animal protein, because they're mucus producing, and mucus, you visualize it, right? It thickens the lymph, and instead you want it to flow because it has to take these toxins out, and then when it slows down, it's harder. So you want to fluidify, and I advise you guys to do more juices. Stay with your lemon water and celery juice in the morning, but just add if you can. And if you can during the day, I just had a client before this that said, listen, I work from 8 to 8. I have no time to do anything else. Okay, but in the weekend, she doesn't work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then in the weekend, you load up on juices. And it doesn't mean that it's a juice fasting, because I still want you to eat. I'm just saying consider adding 2 or 3 juices. So having 2 or 3 juices, including the celery juice, a day. It doesn't have to be only celery. It could be cucumber, very alkalizing, and ginger and apple. In this time of the year, for those of you in our hemisphere, it's winter, so citruses are abundant, and citruses are a good boost for the immune system with vitamin C, but also they're very alkalizing, so that's why the lemon water. But I'm talking about squeezing oranges, eating grapefruit and clementines, amazing for your immune system, but also amazing for your lymphatic system, because they're extremely alkalizing. As you know, citruses, once they go through the digestive process, they become alkaline. So that's where I will start, Nikki. my daughter occasionally wake up all night and they don't get deep sleep. Well, Jordan, this is I don't know much about the situation. Of course, sleep is key. So if we don't have nutrition is key, but right after together the sleep, and even actually before nutrition, you know, if we don't have deep sleep, we're not able to regenerate. Maybe something is going on with her central nervous system. Maybe there's something going on emotionally. Maybe there's something going on with her adrenals that keeps her awake or keeps them awake. I'm not sure if there's one or more of daughters, but yes, I think those are the things that you need to maybe start looking into. So in fact, sorry, anything emotionally that may be going on, central nervous system and adrenals. Yeah, Michelle, we're not going far, you know, without sleeping, you will see the body starts breaking down, you know, because it's the time where we regenerate. So Diana said that she did a heavy metal cleanse with a naturopath, not medical medium, and made her gain 10 pounds that I have been trying to lose ever since, over 2 years. Any idea how long it takes to get well, so how long does it take to get rid of the weight? As I said, I just finished a lymphatic cleanse group, and one of my clients that could not lose weight did start seeing weight shedding within 3 weeks. Now, it depends on how much weight. I had someone that lost 1 pound a day and could not lose weight, but we're talking about people that need to lose like 30 pounds because that's what they gain. So it's very personal. And I think that if you have gained, trying to do a heavy metal cleanse with your naturopath, it's because it wasn't effective, meaning maybe it was steering toxins. No, for sure it was steering toxins and metals. However, the metals weren't going out, so the body stored fat to store, you know, the metals in it. So I will go back to square one, try to make sure that elimination pathways are open, and then try to provoke and push, you know, the elimination. Of course, thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, cosmetic Botox is spread. Well, yes, of course, we're all. But you guys, I also have someone telling me, and I myself, if you guys have heard my story, I'm moving for the 4th time, and I have my mother-in-law here that thinks I'm crazy. I know she does, and I know she's listening. So, because the more you know, and the more you start being afraid of things, of trying things, and I had to deal with mold in a house, with EMF, and what was the third thing? Mold, EMF, and pesticides. Yeah, because we found a nice house that was in the middle of the orange groves, and we realized that the farms were not organic. So, you know, like when we know so much, then it's hard to clients telling me I go in information overload and then I'm almost afraid to leave the house. I don't want you to do that. One mentioned Botox, someone mentioned implants, breast implants. We should get to a point where it's an 80-20 rule, right? So if you have your implants and you're not having massive, and then keep the implants, but the rest should be, you know, very conscious and mindful, you know. If ice cream is what you want, 20% of the time should be able to get ice cream or pizza or a glass of wine. But it's the mindfulness that comes with it. First of all, don't do those things until you are in a level of balance, so to speak, and less symptomatic. When you're very symptomatic, I mean, there's no forgiveness, you know, like there's no healing if you don't put the work. But I want you to look forward to a life where it doesn't have to be as restricted, because you have mastered, like right now, I know what makes me symptomatic, and I make sure that if I, you know, feel my bucket of stress, or, you know, my heavy metal bucket is pretty much full all the time, then other things are, so I'm more conscious to what I eat. I make sure that I have my juices in the morning. Today I had celery juice, and right after I had a big orange juice. It was orange and carrots and ginger. And so I increased the amount of juices because I know that they move my lymphatic system. And when I'm super stressed, like I am right now, and I try to stay, you know, I avoid alcohol at all cost, especially during detoxification, because the body perceives alcohol as poison, and so it drops everything it's doing. In this case, is moving out toxins to take care of the poison. But then these toxins that were stirred up in the detoxification process, where are they going? So there are a few things, like the alcohol. I'm Italian. I love my wine. But, you know, when I'm detoxifying or when I'm symptomatic, I make sure that that is not my life. Also, someone mentioned the mental and the emotional. Do something that makes you happy. So maybe you don't have the wine. Maybe you don't have, maybe you don't do the Botox or you don't dye your hair. But just do something else that makes you happy. And stay away from the food that is a trigger food. Right? So make sure it's not in your house anymore. And yes, have a full life. So appreciate every day. You guys have been so shocked by the news yesterday about Kobe Bryant and his wife and his daughter, because they live near us and because for Californians are a big fear. But it was very good person and my husband's kind of role model. Bottom line, even if you didn't know him, it's just a life that is taken just like that. So enjoy your life. Be grateful. Practice gratefulness, because those things go a long way in your healing journey. Because when I did the bucket, and I promise you I'm going to do the video, if your emotional well-being is there, is, you know, you're full, then you can withstand other things that traditionally, you know, you can't withstand. You can get away with a glass of wine and not being symptomatic. But if you feel lonely, and most of the people that I see being really sick are lonely, are isolated, and this life should not be in isolation. We're meant to be social, and that's why we do the retreats, because it's a way of bringing all you guys together and in a place and learning, bonding, sharing. That is all part of the healing process. And I have to say that in the retreats, the best part is the sharing part, is the emotional release part, is the bonding part. People that feel like their life has been completely changed, and not so much because I come up with medical medium information that you guys didn't know. It's because of bringing together people and guide them through emotional release is key. So make sure that your life is full. Make sure you appreciate every day, and yeah, and reach out if you need. That's why we have this group, and there's some news that we're gonna announce soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, that hopefully will make you happy. And it's all about community, and it's all about bringing community together. It's not another event because we already have the retreats planned out for this year, but it's something that everybody will be able to enjoy no matter where you are in the world, and you don't have to travel for it. So I'm just going to give you just a little tease here that there's some news coming your way that we've been working on for a while, and I hope you will enjoy. And again, my work here is devoted to the community and devoted to making sure that I bring you all together, whether it's physically or not. And I give you hope, I give you information, I give you education, I give you tips, and I give you even a shoulder to lean in if you need to. I hold this safe space for you, and all together we're doing it. That's why I love this group so much, because you guys are amazing, and I don't even have to do a lot of work because you guys are just self-sufficient. So wait for my next video, and that is going to be about the buckets that Michelle was talking about, and it's what does it really take to heal. And I know you're going to enjoy this video, but this is going to be a video on its own on my YouTube channel, and I'll promote it. Yeah, Carol, she just said, I would love a retreat. Carol is the lady that lost weight in my last lymphatic cleanse, and that said, I'm quoting you, Carol, that she has been sick for 15 years with RA, and now she's almost running. She had her grandkids coming over, and she was tired, but she did it. So, I mean, those things really, really boost my emotional bucket, because that's why I do this. Yes, Helen, it's a tease. News coming your ways. Give us a couple of weeks, and we're going to be able to launch something that you guys, I'm sure, will love. Anyway, so I know I don't want to take any more of your time. I'm going to pin this video on top for those of you who were not able to join us today. If you have, thank you, Phyllis. If you guys have any questions, post them on the group. We'll respond. If you want to check out our guided cleanse that starts in February 10th, most of them. If you want to take the quiz, that should be somewhere on the group, somewhere below. Take the quiz to see if you need a specific targeted cleanse, or consider coming to our retreats, because there's nothing better than a squeeze from all of us, in real life. So that is a major energy boost. So I love you guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you here again soon.